guys are ever in Austin,
Did you ever had a fish burrito before? Like a fried fish burrito?
Actually, no.
Tempura fried burritos at Fuzzy's. Fantastic. Shameless plug, Fuzzy's talk.
Oh, hey.
Alrighty, and welcome everybody. Headlock Talk. We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
Episode 3.
Episode 3.
Thought you could get rid of us.
We are still here.
Still here. And
But
J-Raw just got off work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations, J-Raw.
Still coming off work and doing this.
How was work today?
It was work.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
It wasn't a shoot, was it?
No.
This guy.
We've got wrestling jokes, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man, do it.
Boom.
I was wondering how long it was going to take until we derailed, but I think we're
Yes,
doing all right
yes.
so far.
I mean, first 30 seconds isn't bad.
Personal record. We broke a record.
So my name is Tanner. I guess I'm your host, moderator. I don't know what I am.
One of those.
Yes.
I think we're all in this together, really. to an
Newly
extent.
appointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
To my immediate left, the one and only Mr. Stephen Groody.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy, Stephen.
Oh, howdy.
Howdy, howdy.
Oh, howdy.
And to Stephen's immediate left, mixmaster, producer, extraordinaire, rocking the blue JBL headphones,
Oh, man.
Hey.
Mr. J. Raw.
Yes. Hello, all. Good evening, good afternoon, and thank you for listening. When you're listening.
Well, good. Gentlemen, we're coming off of a big weekend here.
Sure
all right?
are.
Yes, we are.
I mean, we always say that we're coming off of something big, but
That's very true.
Yes, it's always big in wrestling. It's the biggest.
this past weekend we had TLC, tables, ladders, and chairs. And for what for me felt like a mixed bag of things, personally, there were a lot of highlights, a lot of things I could have done without.
Yeah.
But it was overall, I mean, I would say it's pretty much a thumbs in the middle show for me personally.
What now? What did you just say?
Thumbs in the middle. I'm not giving
Thumbs
it.
in the middle.
I'm not giving it a thumbs
Gotcha.
up. I'm not giving it a thumbs down.
We're not Daenerys Targaryen.
Yeah.
Taking them out
No.
with the dragon.
Can we
but
do,
at the same
like-
time, we're not letting them live.
Like
okay.
a quarter up thumb?
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
well, so you guys tell me this. What did y'all think of the show?
So I pretty much agree with you. It's kind of a mixed bag. Definitely some stuff I could have done without. A few matches in particular. Definitely the Carmella R-Truth match. Uneventful for me.
Okay.
Our
truth did look good though.
Our truth did look good.
That man looks good.
It's funny because Tanner and I had mentioned that while we were watching it, and then you texted us saying the exact same thing, and definitely agree on that.
I think
Looked
that was
real
one
good.
of that match.
He's definitely in good shape. I like them paired together
I like
because even though I find the dancing routine a bit silly, I get that that's something that the crowd reacts to and they
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Right.
And
For the kids.
the enjoyable thing is that it wasn't a long match. They kept it short, and they finally resolved this whole mixed match challenge tournament here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one way or another, you've got apparently both are getting number 30 entrants into their respective Royal Rumbles.
Yeah, that was strange.
I don't truly think that R-Truth is going to end up as number 30 in the men's Royal Rumble. I think he'll come out and try and be like, oh, I'm number 30. I'm coming out with Carmella in the women's Royal Rumble.
Little
Okay.
joke.
It's like a
dance break.
little
Okay.
joke, dance break kind of thing. That's just me. So
I see that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, JR. We kind of ran right over your thoughts on this show.
Yeah, no, I mean, I view wrestling as a machine, and though we all, would like to be the body
Yeah.
and the rims, you still need an engine, you still need a transmission, you still need an alternator.
Yeah.
And that's what Carmella and R-Truth are. I mean, they're people that they get the show going, they keep it moving.
Uh-huh.
Not necessarily, going to be showstoppers per se. They're not
Right.
going to be main card.
Right.
But I think they carry it, and hey, I mean they work. They can work in the ring, and they're really good mid-level wrestlers, and I think
Right.
we need that in the machine.
Right. Well, and I think that's one common criticism, perhaps, that I think some people in the online community take a little bit too far, perhaps, is like, obviously we should want everybody to do a great job, but not every match is going to be the best match on the card.
Right.
No.
Right. I think that's asking way too much of talent to a degree. But I do agree. Every superstar has their place on this show. I think.
Yeah.
Now, as far as mid thumbs go, if we're saying, give it not a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Talking about the bar.
Yeah.
The thumbs.
Setting the bar.
Yeah.
No, I liked it. I mean, I guess I'm going to play the role of the always enthused critic. I'm not. I don't want to call you guys hypercritical, but I'm not.
I've definitely got a lot of likes I like on this show here.
Yeah. I think if the highs are really high, that does it for me. And I think this event, the highs were really high.
Yeah.
I mean, more than Survivor Series.
Really?
Shots fired,
Damn.
But I mean, hey, Rousey, came out one time without that stupid look on her face. And she had that stupid look on her face the whole time in Survivor Series. So I mean, there was just progress and growth all around.
Okay.
But I realize I'm gonna be the not that hard to please guy because
nothing wrong with that.
I liked it. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we'll get into the show here. Here I know we talked about
but I got some suspicions why I might not have liked it though, so we're gonna get into that.
Okay. Well, and there's definitely a lot that I did like, so I'll be more than happy to share that with you gentlemen.
Like the whole thing with parts.
Of course.
Yeah.
But before we go past this R-Truth and Carmella match here, I know that they won the match. They get their number 30 entrance. There was also a little bit of a fun teaser. Apparently, they were supposed to get like an all expenses paid vacation. The two of them.
That was fun. That was really fun.
Apparently, they were supposed to fill out a form of where they wanted to go. Carmella failed to fill this out, but luckily enough, her partner R-Truth did fill it out. She wanted to know were they going to Madrid or Barcelona or Paris. They're gonna go to Stamford, Connecticut, to WWE headquarters.
Excellent.
And R-Truth was extremely happy about this.
Yeah, I think he was pleased with his choice.
Yeah,
hilarious.
Carmelo was not so pleased.
As we go through the undercard here, I mean, that's where we are. What do we think of Jinder Mahal? I mean, what is going on? I feel like I stepped away from wrestling for 2 months as a viewer, and I come back and it's upside down world.
Well, I don't know
what do we have thoughts?
Well, I think that Jinder was very specifically placed as a champion last year because they were opening up the market more in India.
Oh, okay.
And they were doing a whole tour of India at some point where he main evented some shows with Triple H. They were fighting each other.
Okay.
In India.
And that India call when he won the belt, that was dope.
Yeah.
When did you get to see that the call in India?
Oh,
in their language, in the Hindi.
In the Hindi language.
When he won,
I did.
When he won, that was really cool.
That was really cool. They were very excited about him.
Yeah.
Little known fact though, Jinder Mahal is actually Canadian.
Okay.
Why did I not see that coming? Why, Vince? This is what we talk about. We give you the chance, and you pull this. I want to say, I wasn't a Christian half the time of my life. I swear to goodness.
But it was very good short term.
Rhymed with mitts.
Jinder's thing was very good short term for what it was.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of him as champ. I definitely thought he should have dropped the title to Nakamura at some point. But his...
I thought so too. I thought that's where that was going.
Right. His having the title served a purpose to the extent of they got it through as much as what they needed to be to open up the doors to India and then proceed with having a tour later. He of course dropped the title to AJ Styles last year.
Yeah.
Before Survivor Series, just like AJ did the favor to Daniel Bryan this year before Survivor Series. And I think that's just kind of where we're at right now with Jinder Mahal.
I think he generates a lot of heat.
To an extent.
I could see, him fitting in as a Rusev level. I don't think he needs to go all the way back down to Jobber unless, Vince is seeing something we're not seeing, in rehearsals and, writing meetings. If he's, it feels like a fall from grace.
They took a lot of heat for him being the champion because it felt like, okay, we're taking this undercard guy who was clearly on the undercard for so long, and we're automatically making him the champion and having him beat Randy Orton just a month out from WrestleMania. And now we're going to have him maintain the title for 6 or 9 months all the way up through Survivor Series. I think people just were like, what the heck happened? For his title run, and now that he's not being pushed anymore, it's like, okay, well, what the heck happened? I thought you were really high on this guy. So I get your point of view here.
Yeah, just getting your thoughts on anything, Steven? Or?
To be honest, I don't know enough about Jinder Mahal. This is a little bit before I got back into wrestling, so don't know too much about that storyline, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a good storyline, man. I mean, he basically would come out and get these Midwest crowds going.
Fair enough.
With some modern day Maharaja.
Oh goodness.
Being Muslim, he definitely would.
He's not Muslim.
His character.
He's not Muslim. He's Canadian.
That's why.
And if anything, he would be Hindu. Right? Because
Hindus, some of them are Muslim, but some of them are Buddhist. It's a mix in India. So no.
I thought it was its own religion. I thought Hinduism's its own thing.
Hindi, yes.
So wouldn't it be a Hindu?
But there are
wouldn't that be the character? I don't know. Okay,
there are Indians that are Muslim.
The character has never expressly said what his religion is, so let's not get ourselves in trouble. The character has never said what religion he is.
That's not what you've done to us.
But it's heavily implied that when you see the Taj Mahal outlined in his, you think, okay, well, this guy's from India. He starts saying things and saying about how he's superior to everybody.
Yeah, that's my point. He comes out and
the Midwestern folk get riled up about it. So I get what you're saying.
So that was the main gist. Vince McMahon.
We don't want to argue about religion. On the wrestling podcast. Yeah. We'll have to save that for a whole other podcast. Yes. That would go on for ages.
That's the main thing. He he comes out and
he riles people up.
Muslim. He riles them up. Being a different culture.
You said it again.
Different religion. I'm saying Hindu, Muslim, whichever angle he carries with the specificity of the religion.
Okay.
I'll
back off.
I was giving it to you. Whatever angle he comes with that, he just, like you said, the Midwest thing, he was generating a lot of heat. Talking a lot of smack.
Yeah.
And I thought he rode the wave really well. And I don't need to see him win the belts, but I would like to see him, maybe compete for the USA title, the Intercontinental title, compete for some belts. I think he's got the mic work, and he's definitely got the ring work. So
we'll keep an eye on Jinder Mahal and see where he goes from here. Obviously, we're shaking things up now. We'll get to that a little bit more later.
Yeah.
We've got the Bar versus the New Day versus the Usos in a tag match. I wasn't thoroughly impressed with the match. I just felt like it was 6 guys doing a bunch of moves for 12 minutes, and then it ended with Sheamus winning the match.
Yeah. It didn't really seem to go anywhere throughout the entire match. There wasn't a lot of momentum being built or anything like that. Me personally, I think it's kind of just a strange match in general with the 3 2-man teams going head to head. It feels like a very claustrophobic triple threat.
Well, and I feel like we've seen a lot of each of these 3 teams facing each other already.
100%.
That without some kind of gimmick that I think that was sorely lacking here on this TLC card. Like if they said okay, well this is a hardcore match, or this is a ladder match for the titles, or this is a tables match. tables elimination match, whatever. We could have probably had a little bit more joy out of it. Otherwise, give this match 6 more minutes added onto it and throw it on as a SmackDown main event because I don't need to see it on a pay-per-view card.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also, too, it felt like from a story perspective, there were a lot of just lost spots where they just seemed lost. They seemed like they were trying to work back to the middle, and it was like, let's go ahead and get 2 bro kicks in and get out of here.
Right.
And that's how the whole thing. So we all agree there. That's how that. That's how that. Whole
I mean, I mean, I don't know if it was rushed. I don't know if I don't know if it felt too slow. I really don't know. It just felt like there was just something. It was just there to have something happen in the ring for 12 minutes.
And a lot of times, the ref will feel the crowd out and say, all right, guys, let's wrap this up. And that's almost how that felt. Not saying the crowd wasn't in it, but that's how it felt. It almost felt that, come to a conclusion here. We need to move forward.
I mean, they probably get some kind of time call. Like, Vince probably gives a call to the ref, like, through the earpiece. And it's like, all right, time's coming up. And, they probably decided that they were just going to call everything in the ring. I don't know if they had a lot of spots planned or not. I just don't know. It just felt like this was 12 minutes of something happening in the ring. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Did y'all have a PSA on this? I know that you said you wanted to link something back to the last episode regarding.
Oh yeah.
A quick public service announcement on behalf of J-Raw here. And Stephen as well, I believe. Stephen has a hand in this PSA here too.
So last episode at J-Raw at the movies, we touched on some semi. We dove a little bit into the waters because that's what the movie. Body pertained to, and then we got into, race issues in wrestling and battle rap and how they contextually, mesh and they carry parallels and similarities. And then we got into cultural appropriation. So I felt like, and then we got into the segment with the Usos, where I was mentioning. Ascension, and battling with the Usos, New Day. What kind of competition?
What about the Bar dressing up like LL Cool J on SmackDown?
That's what I was getting to. And then that's when Stephen got to the situation of the Usos and how they're not even black and they are pushed as now rappers. So we thought. This would be a good chance to just wrap that segment up with a bow and just kind of come back to our thoughts and kind of complete our thoughts on that. So Stephen, you can go ahead, or if you want me to go ahead.
Really the only thing I really wanted to talk about with this is I was discussing with Tanner, and he kind of made me see a slightly different side of this. Where I wasn't, I don't necessarily think that them booking the Usos as rappers or as J-Raw says, urban characters. I don't think there's necessarily any writers trying to be racist or racially insensitive or anything like that. But I think that they know that race gets a reaction, and so that is why they're pushing them like this. And if you have 2 people that can fit that bill and you want that bill fitted, then go ahead. And one thing I wanted to wrap up with the bodies discussion is based on the little bit I saw of that movie, in terms of the race related lines that they spit or whatever. They weren't necessarily coming from a hateful place or anything like that. They know that race gets a reaction, and that is the ultimate goal.
But not hateful.
Right, and that's the ultimate goal, is to get that reaction. And so Tanner helped me see another side of that. I don't necessarily think that Vince or any of the writing team is racist. I get what they're trying to do with it. I still think it's kind of messed up.
It's just very odd.
It is just very odd.
Since I've been brought into this discussion here, I do want to take a quick moment to apologize.
Yes.
Last episode, I did call Vince racist.
That was a thing.
That happened.
If you want to rewind and listen to last week's episode, I did call Vince racist. Vince, if you're listening, if you ever do listen, I don't think you're racist. So please don't sue me. I don't think you're racist at all.
Yeah.
But you gotta admit, if I was to go back into your archives of every wrestling show you've produced, I'm sure enough gonna find some evidence to say, okay, well, you definitely did some things, like Steven said, brought about as a reaction,
right?
Because we're including race into a discussion.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're racist, Vince. But I mean, you do have a lot of evidence here that could, stand up for an argument. Right?
Yeah,
you're not racist, but the Usos are a thing.
The Usos
are a thing, and that's a thing. And so I do want to say I appreciate you guys for being black. Being defenders.
I'm black.
You know what I mean?
For being black.
For me being black, being defenders, saying hey, going against being willing to call that out. If you see it or if you think you see it, because obviously these things can be explained away and things like that, but addressing it head on is something we at Headlock Talk we're not going to be afraid to do.
Right.
I wanted to touch on just on the Usos thing. Being from the inner city growing up in DC, I was raised sort of in it was like Brooklyn, the middle class, upper class, and everybody was just in a pot, and I was in the middle of the middle of the middle.
Yeah.
You go one way, it gets more desperate. You go the other way, it gets a little less desperate. And that's just how DC is kind of shaped, the area I grew up in.
Okay.
But just growing up in those environments, like I said, with the Usos, you can tell from looking at them that, obviously, well, they do look black, I gotta be honest. But the way they carry themselves, you can tell they're not faking it.
Yeah, I'm sure they've lived harder lives than most people.
And so growing up in my neighborhoods, you had Mexican guys. I didn't grow up in areas with Samoan guys, but you had Mexican guys, even some white guys. I lived in Virginia, and culturally there were white guys that were more black than some black people because they grew up in that environment,
right?
And so from that, I look at it from a different lens. And I do get a little offended when I realize that they're not black at all. Like, good gosh, man. Like, they don't have to do this. And so, but then the thing I wanted to get to that ties into that, to wrap it up, is cultural appropriation and what that truly is. Because they had a battle rap on SmackDown, and that's cultural appropriation because there's no respect for that culture. They didn't have the guys from Body. They didn't have them write their verses.
Right.
They didn't have them maybe come out and star them in that segment to sort of be a coach or a referee.
Right.
There was no respect to what that culture entails. And the culture is not a joke. There are people getting paid big money to do that. I mean, you've got people making $250,000 just to battle. And so cultural appropriation is not necessarily when someone from another culture does something that's not a part of their culture and tries to be a part of it. It's when they do it and don't give a damn about it.
And it's not respected.
It's not respected.
Right,
so
right.
A person I use as an example is Eminem. He's not a cultural appropriator because when he won his first Grammy, he thanked Master Ace. And if you know anything about rap, the deep parts of it, the underground parts of it, you'll know that Eminem got his whole style from Master Ace. And he was very open about being grateful to the guy. If he was a cultural appropriator, he would have never mentioned him. And Master Ace wrote a battle rap to Eminem calling him out for taking his style. And the whole hip-hop community had to come to Master Ace and say, hey man, you gotta relax.
Right.
Because this guy respects our culture. He won a Grammy, no one knows who you are, and he thanked you on that stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's clear respect, deep respect for the Yard Forum. So I just wanted to get a chance to wrap that up.
Cool, man.
But definitely great conversation. So
awesome,
definitely
awesome.
Yeah.
Well said, everybody. I'm glad that we could touch back on last week's episode. If you'd like more, definitely tune into last week's episode. It was certainly a good one.
Definitely.
Yes.
We talked at links about many things.
Yes.
Particularly about this next man.
Aha.
Or I guess there's two of them here involved.
This enigma.
This
entity.
That's a bit strong
All
for this guy.
Calm down a little bit.
So Baron Corbin versus
Calm down a little bit.
Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman in a TLC match.
Can we even call it a match?
We're gonna call it a match.
So
okay, it wasn't a match. I'm a fan, but I admit it wasn't a match.
Yeah.
Yes. Baron Corbin comes down with Heath Slater. He believes he's gonna go ahead and get the count out win. He's gonna become permanent GM of Raw. Heath Slater starts the count. Midway through the count, Braun Strowman shows up.
Yeah.
He's got his arm in a sling, so that's definitely something noticeable. But he's got a mic, and he's obviously hurt. But Braun does make something clear in that because it's a TLC match, there's no disqualifications.
Yeah.
So he's able to bring some of his friends with him.
Lots of friends.
Yes.
Many friends.
This match went on for 16 minutes at length with, let's see here, I believe Apollo Crews came out, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable came out, Finn Balor was out at ringside as well.
Yep.
And then to top it all off, Kurt Angle comes out, and they all give a beat down on Baron Corbin.
Give him a walloping.
They gave him a walloping.
Yep.
Yes.
They paid him back for all the crappy things that Baron Corbin did to these guys over the past few weeks. So he got his comeuppance for all of the things that he all the ways that he made these other superstars feel miserable.
They didn't appreciate the fact that he was trying to bring them together.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play the heel commentator on this.
The
He was trying to bring them together, and they were ungrateful
J-Raw, the Corbin
for
sympathizer.
everything he has done.
So
These guys didn't get it.
Corbin ate every finisher there. He got
Multiple. Even.
the coup de grace from Finn Balor. I mean that's gotta hurt anybody.
It was an especially nasty one too.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Short range coup de grace would have to be the worst type of coup de grace. I mean, because the legs are barely bent before they're outstretched into your chest.
Absolutely.
No way to fake that, ladies and gentlemen.
So Braun Strowman puts his boot on Baron Corbin and gets the pinfall from Heath Slater. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That's it. So Braun Strowman's going to be getting a championship match at the Royal Rumble against Brock Lesnar.
Okay, so I gotta go to this. Y'all gotta tell me why y'all didn't like this pure comedic story gold.
About the match or about Braun Strowman?
We're not going to call it a
Baron
match.
Corbin.
I'll give you that. I'll meet you halfway. It wasn't a match. But I'm just saying.
I mean, it's
how you did.
I'm gonna tell you
like that.
my main
and people
problem
genuinely
with it, okay?
hate him.
Okay, I'm gonna give you my.
He genuinely gets heat.
This is my main
how he's
complaint.
making people mad. Not you guys. I'm talking to general
No.
fan. How he gets such raucous boos.
Right.
It's insane. But go ahead. Tell me why.
So the event itself of Baron Corbin getting the snot beaten out of him.
yeah.
I was a fan. It was nice. Here's my problem.
Yeah.
You only have 2 TLC matches.
Yeah.
On the full card of a pay-per-view called TLC.
Legitimate.
And then bam, now it's 1 TLC match. That's the only problem I have with it. And I understand that Braun was injured, and so I can give them a pass for it. All I'm saying is that TLC as a whole didn't have enough TLC.
I got you.
Now, that's not saying that the matches themselves were like terrible or anything, because like I said earlier in the show, it was a decent show.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna call a pay-per-view TLC, tables, ladders, chairs, it needs to be in every match, and it needs to be a big part of it. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
I was thinking, where are the tables, ladders, and chairs? I thought the matches generated enough heat on their own that I forgave it, but I get that. I get that. Okay.
I will diversify my opinion from yours. I don't think every match has to be a TLC match. I think that would get extremely run at some point. I would like to see there being at least multiple true TLC matches here, and I don't think that we actually were getting anything like that with this particular matchup. I think that, okay, you can call it something else. You can call it a chairs match, or you can call it something else.
Right, well, the Randy Orton Rey Mysterio match was a chairs match.
Well, I mean, I think the concept of a chairs match is pretty garbage in general, to be perfectly
honest
with you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, well, it's a chairs match. Might as well just make it no disqualifications.
It's just a no DQ match. The only difference is that there's 40 chairs around the ring.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean...
Cool.
Great.
You can get them from under the ring.
Fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I think, but the flip side of it too is also, I don't know if they knew to what extent could Braun Strowman actually compete in that match. So they said, okay, well, best case scenario, Braun Strowman's going to be A-okay after his injury. Like, he'll be good to go for the night, and he'll just throw him through tables, and he'll throw him off of a ladder, and he'll beat him with a chair, and it'll just be this absolute squash of Baron Corbin.
Right.
Yeah.
But he obviously had to have his surgery, and I think that may have thrown a bit of a wrench into that plan. I think that they planned this before knowing, obviously, that he was going to have to need surgery on his elbow.
Okay.
So I think that could also have a play into it. I'm not 100% sure on that, because I'm not that close to Braun or Vince.
Really?
No, I'm not. Surprisingly, right? Yeah, I mean, I just think that I think they worked themselves into a corner, and they didn't really know how to get out, except for making sure that everybody who Baron Corbin had come across and screwed over in some way was able to exact some revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things. I completely get your gripes now. I get that. I follow that completely. So it's just what that match was a indicator of.
Right.
For you, okay. So for me, what I love about it is, I feel like every chance, we're about to get into a little, bit of what I'm saying, but every chance the writers get to tell a story, I think they should, and this is a good chance to tell a story.
And I agree with that.
I am not liking the direction Corbin is going, because the direction inadvertently it's taking Corbin, because you could argue this could be one of the few times you don't want heat drawn, because ratings are real. And if you tie his character to why ratings are low, then it's like, we're going to have to bring you to the back and come up with something else.
Right.
And it just sucks, because he's generating real heat. I don't think he's the reason ratings are low, but the heat he draws can give off that perception, and so I want to see this keep going. But there's a real good chance he might get retooled. I just thought this would be a great moment, and that's a great ending.
I'm going to cut you off right there, because we will definitely be getting more onto Baron Corbin's whole situation on the on Raw and his getting booed and everything, because we obviously have to talk about the Vince McMahon appearance on Raw and what that means for the future. Because Baron Corbin does play a big part into that. I think we've still got a lot to cover with Baron Corbin when it comes to that segment. So moving on somewhat swiftly here, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this match. Natalya beats Ruby Riott in a tables match. The angle here was that Ruby Riott and Natalya had been feuding. Ruby Riott, and this was another piece of writing genius, I guess. I'm not thrilled with what they did, but they had Ruby Riott come out with basically a caricature of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. If you don't know, Jim, legendary tag team partner of Bret the Hitman Hart with the Hart Foundation, multiple-time tag team champion. He's Natalya's father, and he passed away very, very recently. So Ruby Riott's got this cutout of Jim Neidhart on a table on Raw and said, "I'm going to put you through this table, and you and your dad are going to be closer than ever." I found it to be kind of similar to back a few years ago. Charlotte and Paige had an angle where Paige made some remarks about Charlotte's brother, who had just passed away also. It's just a callback to kind of one of these really distasteful...
dark angles.
Well, dark angles, but just distasteful writing just in general. It's cheap heat because you know that that's going to have a really... guttural reaction to the crowd, and I don't know to what extent Natalya was okay or comfortable with this. I mean, she seemed fine night of the match. She seemed happy to win it. She did get to put on one of her dad's old cool. Heart Foundation jackets.
It was a cool moment for sure.
Cool moment.
It's a nice moment for her to win and get that under her belt. I've just found the whole angle to be a little bit distasteful, and I wish that they wouldn't have put it that way.
Yeah.
If they could have made it into something else, anything else, and still have Natalya dedicate the match to her father, I think that would have been great.
I was going to say, just want to get you guys' take on this, because it being too soon definitely makes me ease off my take, because I do disagree a little bit, because I thought, in my opinion, the Ambrose Reigns situation to me was worse, because
that's still bad. That's still bad.
And that's something that wasn't, you could clearly argue wasn't needed.
Yeah.
I think in this case, it's cheap heat, but it puts Ruby Riott in the conversation rather immediately.
Yeah.
So if they want to work with her as a heel, if they want to develop her character as a heel, she's already done probably the dirtiest thing her character's ever going to do for at least the next 5 years.
For the foreseeable future.
For the foreseeable future. So it just put her it put her over. And I know Natalya would probably want it done another way. As she had her druthers. And it's just one of those things where it's like you watch a movie, and even though you know the ending, you still suspend your disbelief so that you can still be surprised. I mean, you had to think she was going to come out with a table with Ruby Riott on it and then dedicate it to her dad and beat her.
I mean, that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
It was for sure.
But it's still good to see. It's still nice to see. It's one of those feel good type of moments from obviously a really bad angle on all fronts with it being too soon. But I thought Ruby Riott in the position of NXT call up, looking to make a name for herself, maybe even establish a Riott Squad as all her thing, and she's gonna lead it. And whether it be women's tag coming up, or her leading a solo faction, boom, don't need no pushes. Like, she's in position to do all of that from this.
I mean, she's a decent heel for the women's division. I hope that they get to use her more in that regard. We'll see how it shakes out. On the road or the road after WrestleMania. We'll see. I don't know how significant Ruby Riott's going to be, because I think they've got
it's time.
They've got 4 pretty solid leading ladies heading into WrestleMania, and all of their plans can go in any different direction. And we will be getting to that here momentarily.
Real quick, I just want to add in my 2 cents on that. Don't want to go too far onto it because I'm pretty much just regurgitating what Tanner said. That angle just didn't need to happen. I was not a fan of it in any way. I can agree. It's extremely distasteful. There's other ways to make
to draw heat,
to draw heat, or have Ruby go over, or whatever. I think it's just a real lazy, quick out, and I thought it was very distasteful. But that's all I'll say on it. I wasn't extremely like, how dare you guys? But at the same time, it's like, come on, you. I know you can do better than that, and you have done better than that. So
Up next, the 7th match on what was already a very long show. Finn Balor defeated Drew McIntyre in about 12 minutes. again, I think that there's a bit of a pattern here, and I just want to touch on this here real briefly. This is not against Finn Balor. This is not against Drew McIntyre. I would love for both guys to be pushed a heck of a lot more than what they already are being.
McIntyre will be put over here.
I thought so too.
That's what I thought.
I definitely thought so. I don't know if there was anybody who said that Finn was going to win.
To me, it felt like
I don't know.
One of those old school shoot finishes where Finn stole it. I mean, it felt like that. I mean, it wasn't. But it felt like an old school shoot finish.
I think this is just
guys get punched for real and
right. Well, I mean,
no shenanigans going on.
I think this is just more and more of that
mid-match.
This is just more and more of that 50-50 booking that they're doing, where it's like any one of these guys could win on any night.
Yeah,
I think the story doesn't really matter. The match doesn't really have much impact on the storytelling, which is obviously not true. The result of the match the result of the match has a lot to do with how the story should go from here. But what's really odd is that you would go into this match thinking that Drew McIntyre would win. Finn Balor comes away with the win. Again, nothing against either guy. I think that they should both be pushed a lot more than they already are, especially Finn. And Drew McIntyre's he's got a bright, certainly a bright future himself. Problematic.
Let me just say real quick.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
The problematic thing with this match, because I wanted to get this across, again, with a lot of this undercard, I feel like I could have seen this just on an episode of Raw or on an episode of SmackDown. I feel like this could have just been a main event that I could see if they just played out the story a little bit more, gave it 6 more minutes than what it already had, and put it make it feel really important and really hype it for a main event on Raw one week. That's all I would need to see of this match. I don't need to see it again on this show, particularly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll open up the floor.
No, that's that. I agree.
This is probably due to me just getting back into WWE. I do not get the appeal of Drew McIntyre at all. He is not interesting in any way to me. Just saying.
So, I don't want to even say a few years back. If you go back a long time ago to when Drew McIntyre first had his first run in WWE, he was like the blue chip prospect. Like, he was going to be like the next guy, like the next Randy Orton, the next Brock Lesnar, the next big guy, because Vince saw all this talent in him.
Gotcha.
And it never went anywhere. He ended up being in the faction, was it the 3-man band, the 3MB, where it was I want to say what was it? Adam Rose, Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre, and Jinder Mahal were all in a clique.
I remember that.
They were all in a clique together. That's how far down Drew McIntyre fell. He went from being Vince's hand-picked guy to being all the way down to the bottom. But now Drew McIntyre after he was released, he went through all the independent scene. He was doing all sorts of really good big independent events all throughout Europe and in England in particular. He reestablished himself. He got huge. He's never always been this size. He's now much larger than he had ever been before, physically. And so now he just looks like a monster. And I think he's going to end up getting pushed to the moon now that he's back. I mean, he obviously looks great. But Finn, at the same time, Finn should get pushed to the moon. He was the first Universal Champion.
How much did we factor the labrum? I think it was labrum, right? You tore his labrum?
Finn?
A few years ago?
Yeah, he hurt himself. He got injured pretty severely in a match a couple years back.
With Rollins, right? Rollins tossed him into...
that was the inaugural Universal title match. So Finn.
How much are we factoring in just him having to be reworked from that?
I mean, I think that Vince might have a perception that he's a bit soft because he was only around on the main roster for a little while and then he got hurt, and now he's just trying to find a place to put Finn, and sometimes it's hard to find a place to put Finn. I don't know. But he definitely shouldn't have. I mean, he should be in the main event scene consistently.
Yeah.
He's instead
undoubtedly.
Right. Well, the thing is, beyond the Universal title, he's never held another major title. give him an Intercontinental title run. Give him. I mean, I would like to see him work with Ambrose. That would be great. I mean, I think that there could be potential there, but I think we need to put some kind of title on him, either a tag team title, an Intercontinental title, something to give him some momentum to go forward.
For sure.
And also, too, going forward, was there any point to this Rey Mysterio Randy Orton match?
I don't think so.
Yeah, onwards to the next one.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I have an interesting opinion about this match.
Okay, because I was gonna go to the Oracle to give me the history.
Yeah.
Oh, me?
With Rey Mysterio, Randy,
Yes.
like
Confucius says.
WTF.
Well, so the whole backline of this story is like Randy Orton keeps popping up and attacking Rey Mysterio, and he tore his mask off at some point. Nobody saw Rey's face, but he would take Rey's mask. So
and he was holding it. He was keeping it.
Yeah, he kept it,
like walking around with it.
So here's again another thing. Like I said earlier, I'm not a fan of the chairs match. I think it's a dumb gimmick.
Yeah.
Like, cool, just make it a no disqualification match. Fine. Yeah. But what does this have to do with Randy Orton taking Rey's mask? Like, it has nothing to do with it.
Right.
So what you could have done, and what you maybe should have done, is make it like... so in Mexico, they have these matches where it's like, if you have two masked wrestlers, it's a mask versus mask match. The loser has to reveal himself and take off his mask.
That's an interesting concept.
They also do these other matches where if it's a non-masked guy, if he loses the match... the non-masked guy, they would have to shave his head. So I was thinking, do a hair versus mask match between Randy Orton and Rey Mysterio. If Randy Orton lost, have him shave his head. He already does that anyway. It's not like it's gonna hurt him.
Yeah.
You know, and just have Rey Mysterio just knock him out real quick and just buzz his hair off.
And I was gonna say, Stephen, before you go, I was gonna say, I think they made the most of, to me, a really random booking. I mean, I know they booked it, as an angle up to leading to this.
Yeah.
But through SmackDowns, right? Through SmackDowns leading up to this, but it's still like a really random booking. But I thought, all things considered, being chairs should just be no disqualification. All things considered, I think they still told a great story. Where Randy Orton is this psycho that wants to torment this guy smaller than him, and is just about to set up the kill shot and fails.
Yeah.
And I thought they, being great professionals, told a really good story for something that, essentially for nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I mean, there was some good spots. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was a little bit clumsy with some of the chair setups to try and get like everything right that had the way that they wanted to.
Yeah.
Like you just had like a stretch of the match where it was just Randy Orton setting up chairs in a row.
Yeah,
where it was
I
thought that was funny.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know what he was trying to achieve.
Because Randy Orton is that,
I didn't know what he was trying to do though.
He can be that psychotic dude just.
But what was he
on general?
But what was he trying to do with all the chairs in a row?
I don't know.
I don't know what he was trying. It was hilarious.
I will give it this. There was a really cool spot where Rey Mysterio did he body surfed the chair out of the ring, he ran and then like body surfed the chair and then like smacked into Orton on the outside.
That was a real
pretty
cool move. Yeah.
I just think to me, it's almost like breaking the fourth wall a little bit, where he's like, if I'm doing this, I have bad intentions. And then it's like, it doesn't even matter what he was going to do, because his bad intentions got foiled. But it's almost like, because it doesn't matter what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this.
I'm just going to do it.
I'm just going to set this up.
Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's almost like they got together and was like, we're going to do it.
What I was going to say is...
They got to know the booking is random.
Right. And I do agree with y'all about like the random booking and everything like that. But upon watching a little bit more of the match and thinking about it, me personally, I actually really, really liked the match, specifically because it reminded me of like getting home from school on a Friday night when I'm like 9 or 10 years old, sitting down with my dad to watch the next SmackDown, and it just kind of brought a nice nostalgic feel to me because like Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio, those are two big guys in my wrestling life, and so seeing them again, all these years later, just I don't know, kind of brought a little bit of nostalgia back for me. I like it.
That would have been the point. Like two professionals against each other. Let them tell a story.
I mean, if you think about it, those two guys kind of came. They were in the same locker room in the same era. They probably trust each other to have a decent match.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Let's move on from this undercard here and actually get to our semi-main events here.
Woohoo! Good matches.
There's some good ones. Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax for the Raw Women's title. I think Ronda Rousey keeps getting better and better as far as 100%. Her matches are concerned.
I agree.
I know you're not a big fan of like the smiling.
No.
Yeah.
I think that's just a gimmick at this point where she's out there, she smiles, she waves to the crowd because that appeals to the little girls and boys at home and at the shows. They want to make sure that she appears as a good guy.
Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I don't think it's a gimmick.
I think it's absolutely a gimmick.
Her character is this badass, but then she comes out and she's waving and smiling to the crowd. I think it is her inexperience with understanding how to go into character. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion.
It's possible.
We'll get into it in the main event, but that's my opinion because she's 80%, 90% there.
Okay.
She's not there yet.
Right.
As far as selling a character.
Right. Well, and I think that maybe she has, because don't get me wrong, I enjoy Ronda Rousey being...
In my opinion, that's just my opinion. That's my take.
Right. Well,
I see it.
My first initial impression of Ronda Rousey was when she was in the UFC, and when she would come out to the octagon, she looked like like it was Mike Tyson heading to ring. Like she was like the Terminator. And so I think that we have that impression and that visualization of Ronda Rousey heading to the ring, stone faced, ready to just pummel the crap out of somebody. But now it's different because she's kind of made it to, I'm not saying that the UFC is not the big time, but she's made it to a larger audience.
Much larger, yeah.
Much larger audience where she's treated like a star.
Yeah.
She was basically handed a championship. Like I'm not going to mince words. I mean, that was built for her. She's a worthy champion from how she performs. I think she's getting better and better because she's going out of these house shows and she's getting more and more experience and she's working these matches and she's practicing a lot.
She's looking good.
She looks very good.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it's not that for me because I think, if anything, the writing is trying to write her as that UFC character. They're trying to write her as that intense character.
Well, they know that she's got name recognition.
Yeah.
So they want to make sure that they capitalize on the name recognition.
And she's got the athleticism to do it, obviously.
I mean, she was crawling, grappling all over Nia Jax last
Great
night.
match.
Yeah. In that match. So I think that she did a really good job. Nia Jax was a heel.
Right.
So I mean,
we all know my opinion of Nia Jax.
I mean, I think we've made ourselves pretty clear about Nia Jax.
When are we gonna forgive?
Never.
Nia Jax.
Well, so after the match, I mean, Ronda submits.
Never. Sorry, we're gonna derail again.
Ronda submits Nia Jax.
Great ending.
It was a good ending.
Great ending.
And she stares down Tamina. Tamina's pretty much useless at ringside. I don't know what her deal was. I know she's there for moral support, but she didn't do anything. She never distracted the ref. She never did anything that was supposed to be overtly heelish to try and give Nia Jax the leg up on here.
Right. Which I'm kind of glad for. I mean, I think it made the match clean.
Well, it did,
but at the same time, why is she there?
Yeah, like there's no point for her to be there if she's not trying to help support Nia Jax and trying to win the title or like making some distraction to give Nia Jax some kind of upper hand.
Yeah, give her some kind of loop-de-loop.
Yeah,
something.
I mean, in story, Nia Jax is supposed to be the inferior heel anyway. Maybe Tamina should be there to try and help alleviate that and make it more plausible for Nia to win, even though she would eventually lose. give Ronda another hill to climb here, so to speak, another obstacle to trying to retain. After the match, we do get a backstage segment where Nia walks to the back. She's then confronted by none other than Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
And Becky Lynch says, "I remember all the things you did. I remember all the things that you said."
Yeah. She said, "Do you remember when you broke my face?"
Yeah.
Is what she said.
Becky Lynch kicked to the gut to Nia Jax, and then a pretty solid right hook.
Yeah.
Basically waffles Nia Jax. She stumbles all over.
Great moment.
Yeah, great moment. Tamina then, again, utterly useless as a partner.
Right.
Then runs and stumbles upon Nia Jax and wonders what exactly happened.
Yeah, looks around like
what
she doesn't.
just happened?
Yeah.
I went left. You went right.
I mean, who's ever
now you're on the ground.
whoever's writing for Tamina must really just not have anything to give her, because she keeps looking just like a dork, trying to, just going up in all the wrong places.
Before we move forward from this match, I did want to say Ronda Rousey's physicality was really good, and I might say, and I'm not as tough on Nia Jax as these guys are. Nia Jax, if you hear me, I am your advocate. But I was going to say...
Don't put your name on that. Brave soul. all right.
So, no, I was going to say, I think this is the character Nia Jax needed as a foil, because I don't know if you had been into back to wrestling, Stephen, during this time, but Nia Jax came out as this unstoppable enforcer.
Right. And
even when they got someone that could match her physicality, working together, it still didn't look right. But then here comes Ronda Rousey, who not only can match her physicality because she's strong as all daylights, she's also light as a feather, so she can also seem like she's climbing that uphill battle. Like, I think that power bomb throw or toss across the ring, that was a great spot. And it just showed that with the level of physicality and athleticism Rousey rose to the occasion with, she was able to work with her and create that uphill climb.
Right.
And it made Nia. It was like Nia Jax. It's almost like Mike Tyson when he had no answers for Holyfield. When I took your best shot, and I got some shots to deliver.
All right. So I think what makes Rousey a bit more believable against somebody like Nia Jax is, and this kind of goes with what you were saying about the physicality and how she was able to kind of work with this here. But I mean, she's a legit mixed martial artist. Like like she comes from a judo background. She's comes from the UFC. Like, she's been trained and immersed in multiple different styles, which makes her more compatible to fight against a larger person.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Whether that's a man, whether that's a woman of equal size who's just as skilled as her, or whether that's somebody like Nia Jax. I think Nia Jax what did they say last night? She was like 6'2" and over 300 pounds or something like that.
Is she really? Wow.
That's a lot of person to be taking on if you're Ronda Rousey. That's a significant size
especially
difference.
Considering the size difference between Nia Jax and the rest of the roster. Or in general.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a few. Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. I mean, there's not a lot of people in general her size. So I mean, it does make for a unique challenge. On to maybe what was my runner-up for match of the night. I hope that there's people out there who agree with me on this here, because again, for me it was an otherwise meh show. I did like Ronda Rousey. I did like the Finn Balor Drew McIntyre match to an extent, but I really, really, really enjoyed Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. This reminded me of a throwback to old Ring of Honor matches.
I can see that.
Yeah. So like, because these two guys, they were kind of in the same circles for a while. Both guys have experience from outside of WWE, and I think that benefited both of them greatly, and they're coming from two different perspectives. Daniel Bryan coming from more of an American-based independent scene-based train of thought. So is AJ to an extent. He's toured around Japan a lot, though, too, so I think he's bringing... they're both bringing a lot of knowledge into this, and you can see in the match that they both thought very deeply about this. Some people may find this to be a bit of a boring match because of how technical it was, but I found the match to be very much a throwback to that old Ring of Honor style, which made both of these guys names, and I really liked, again, the outcome. I don't think the outcome was in anybody's doubt that Daniel Bryan was going to retain.
Right, that's right. Good.
I mean, because AJ was champion for a year, but I really thoroughly enjoyed the match. And Daniel Bryan continues to be great.
And that's for me what made me feel mad about the match is the outcome was not in doubt. So when the outcome is not in doubt in a match,
right,
I need to see almost AJ Styles, John Cena level work. And I don't feel like it rose to that level where you knew who was going to win. But
I think AJ versus John Cena, when they first did that, had like this iconic feel because you have AJ coming in from always being the top guy away from WWE, no matter where he went, versus John Cena, who was always the face of WWE. So it's hard to kind of touch that.
Yeah.
But I mean, for what it's worth, I don't think that anybody should have gone into the match thinking that there was going to be a bunch of flippy stuff happening.
Right.
Even though it had AJ, I think that both guys were well versed and thought deeply about how they wanted the match to go. I mean, I just
here is there a direction this is because now if you're telling me this is the beginning of something.
I mean, I think it's possible.
Then I might be more inclined.
I don't know where... The tricky thing is, they've been putting the WWE title matches lower on the card than what they have been with the women's title, with the Intercontinental title, and with the Universal title. So for whatever reason, WWE is purposely devaluing it's what should be its most valuable title.
Well, it's the namesake championship.
Right.
You know.
It's the WWE Championship. It should be the top of the card.
Somebody miswrote it on the SmackDown, that's why.
Maybe. Right.
So in a fit of misdiagnosed writing, somebody looked up and was like, oh shoot.
Right.
The belt's on SmackDown.
Well, and I just don't think that they're putting. I just don't think that they're putting any. I don't think they're putting as much writing importance into it as they really should. And I think if they made it feel more important here, J-Raw, that you would have probably appreciated it or felt more appreciation for it or felt that it was a much bigger deal if they had emphasized how big of a deal it really should have been.
Yeah,
they're devaluing it, so we don't really feel like it should be really invested into. It did take, like I said, I don't really hardly do this. I mean, I do watch it when I can, but I will rewatch a match and mute it if I can, just so I can try and appreciate it and study it more. And I mean, if you just take it as a match on a match for match's sake, it's a really good one.
Okay.
It's a really good match. So
I'll go back and view it in that regard. If it's on, shameless plug, Next VR.
Okay.
I'll watch it there.
There you go.
Get a little.
That thing's crazy,
view.
man.
Yeah.
You have to get that turnbuckle view.
Yeah, it is pretty nuts for sure.
Yeah.
Anything from you, Steven?
Yeah. What do you think?
Because I do want to get to.
I mean, I didn't really have anything specific about this match. To be honest, it was. I'm gonna be honest, a little bit unmemorable.
Yeah,
for me.
Right? Yeah.
Obviously, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles.
But I want to see it with that context, Tanner.
Both incredibly talented wrestlers. It definitely was not a bad match. Very unmemorable for me personally, though. So
Yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to get to, Tanner and I talked about it. With Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, we done?
I mean, I'm good. I give that match a good 4.5 stars. I thought it was a really well done match. The only reason why I didn't give it a full 5 is I think that the writing could have leading up to the match. I think Daniel Bryan's been cutting some really good promos recently.
Really good.
Yes.
Really good promos. And I think that if the writing really tried pushing these guys, and I think if Vince tried actually pushing these guys, they would have some kind of greater importance on this card than where they were at. Obviously,
easily a WrestleMania.
Obviously, Becky Lynch has been the star of the show.
Yeah.
But I think that this could have been the match before. But perhaps them being third from the main event or definitely helped them, considering how poor I believe the Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins match was.
Now, that's what I was going to get to. Speaking of watching matches with the audio off, this is one you would have wanted to do that with. Because not a lot of action. No, I mean in a good way. Not a lot of action per se, but a lot of story, in my opinion.
I agree.
Now, I don't know if you guys, I was talking to Tanner about it. I don't know, Stephen, you heard it, but they started about the middle of the match when Ambrose is telling this story.
It was a normal Seth Rollins story. It was a normal Seth Rollins match, and the crowd starts chanting, "This is boring. This is boring."
Chanting, "This is boring." Yeah. I don't think it was a normal Seth Rollins match though. There's more flair in a normal Seth Rollins match. I mean, I go back to a few years ago when he was a heel and Randy Orton finished him with an RKO out of nowhere. That is still remember that the phone booth RKO,
the pop up
RKO. Good Lord,
yeah.
You know. So
one.
I mean, he puts on some really active matches. This was so I was saying. Ambrose to me really tells this story of this psychotic, breaking former friend. And there's a point when, there's obviously the fist point, which,
right,
you know what I mean? It's like, it's a
little
over dramatized.
Dean Ambrose puts the fist out to try and get Seth to bump it. Yeah.
But then there's another point when he starts talking to Rollins. And the crowd almost, in a snarky way, boos because they're like, the boos are like, you're trying to tell us a story, just fight.
Yeah.
Where I don't think live it translates. But watching it on the television, it, without audio and with audio, it translated for me. And it just kind of clicked for me. One of the top matches of the night for me, just in the pure artistic way it told a very old school story. Mario Jannetty, Shawn Michaels, like really old school story.
Right. I mean, as a straight up wrestling match, this was fine. Now, what I had an issue with here is actually a few things. Most of the matches on here, for one reason or another, either lacked of storyline or was poor storyline, or the storyline itself was poorly built.
Yeah.
This one was kind of a mixture of both, in that we were never really told why Dean Ambrose turned on Seth Rollins.
Right.
Yeah.
We were what we did get was Dean Ambrose coming out. He had to get himself inoculated. He got shots like at the doctor's office, vaccinated at the doctor's office before he going to the crowds because he or going to the shows because he didn't want to be around the crowd.
Yeah.
He did just a lot of like classic heel stuff, but we never really got a reason as to why he turned on Seth, why Seth should be so. I mean, obviously we should understand why Seth is so mad. But if we're supposed to believe that this is a blood feud, which it really should have been, and that's what the story should have told, then this match should have just been more than a straight up one-on-one match. Why didn't we make it a tables match, a tables match, a ladders match? Well, I mean, based on its placement on the card, it definitely probably shouldn't have been a ladders match. But give it, I mean, there's some matches on here that deserved a gimmick, and some matches that don't. This is one of those that did deserve a gimmick and just didn't get one. Yeah. I think it also got itself really, really hurt by its placement on the card, being second to last. If this opened the show, that would have been something. You could have this open the show as a ladder match.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that probably would have been more well received If we just did that, give it a gimmick, put a gimmick match on it like a ladder match, build the story to where we can understand why Dean did what he did, why Seth believes that he needs to exact some revenge, doing it for Roman, doing it for himself, doing it for whoever, whatever it takes.
So you're down on it because of the so-so booking.
For the booking, I think that the match itself, I mean, it was decent as a match. Don't get me wrong. I can't say I disagree with some of the fans' aspect of saying it's a boring match. I think this is something that we've seen from both of these guys before, but I think they tried to play on that similar kind of Ciampa Gargano thing from last year, where it was like these guys were a great team and now they hate each other. But they gave it no gimmicks. They didn't give it enough storyline. They didn't give it the proper match that it deserved. And my last argument on this is its placement on the card. Like I said, it should have opened, but because you put it before the main event, that match spot is traditionally meant for the cool down before you hype up a crowd. And you put a 23-minute long match second to last, and the crowd's already wanting to see Becky Lynch come out, and Asuka and Charlotte have a TLC match. The crowd was ready to go bonkers over that, and you gave them 23 minutes of Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. You should have opened that the show with this match, and given it something to work with. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's how I feel about it.
Again, with this one, I kind of put this match in the same category as the Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match. Not a bad match, a decent match by all standards, but just very unmemorable. For me personally, there's not a lot of big moments. The only one that comes to mind is the obviously the fist out from Ambrose, and then also one moment I actually did really like is when Seth called Dean a piece of bleep and smacked him across the face.
Great.
I thought that was awesome. I thought that was really great. But other than that, keep in mind the two moments that I just mentioned, neither those aren't wrestling. That's just them talking. So very unmemorable match for me personally. But again, same thing. Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, very good wrestlers. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, very good wrestlers. It's not a bad match. It's just maybe not a.
Not a classic.
Yeah, exactly.
What was a classic here is the main event.
Classic.
Triple threat TLC match. Charlotte, Becky, Asuka. This thing had it all.
Blew the roof off.
Everything.
I was so impressed by these three ladies. They did an awesome job. Becky Lynch is far and above the most over person on probably on either roster, to be honest. Because the crowd was chanting for Becky throughout the night, and they all put on an amazing show. Charlotte reprised her role as Michael Myers, kept coming back from the dead. That table spot where
how are her ribs, man?
I don't know,
man.
Now that's the question I wanted to ask.
That table.
As we get
that table
to,
spot was rough.
Audience for the finishers, essentially, Rousey comes out without a dumb look on her face. Good points there. Comes out focused. In character from the beginning. I digress. Comes out and pushes Becky and Charlotte off their ladders. And Asuka comes from out of nowhere of oblivion, because she got some spots.
I thought she was.
She got
dead.
She got speared through the barricade by Charlotte.
It looked like she got speared through the earth. It was intense.
It was vicious. It was a vicious spear, man.
And so, came back literally from the dead, and climbed up, and now she's a champ. Really great ending, but yes. I don't understand there, other than for we are going to show that man, woman, dog, cat, or other, we are the best, that Becky leads with her tailbone there.
Well,
why?
Why? Ronda said...
That's a splash. The wrestling handbook says that's a frog splash.
Well, let me explain it to you.
Every time.
Let me explain it to you. So Ronda comes out the next night and she says, that she doesn't need to explain herself, that she's the baddest bitch on the planet, right? Yeah. Like that's I mean,
no, I'm talking about the table spot. The Charlotte table spot. Why she leaves with her butt there?
Well,
why you would not?
Oh, the announcer table.
The physics of it. The physics of it is, these women are not. I mean, that's just simple. They're not as big as the men who do these spots.
Yeah. Right.
So you're not coming down.
Smaller.
You're not coming down with as much weight, which is not going to break the table.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the whole Ronda Rousey and why she came out.
About that
but
spot.
yeah. I mean, there just was not enough weight to go into crashing into Charlotte, and then you just had Becky land directly on Charlotte,
and
then it fall off,
and have that slight three milliseconds where the table doesn't break, and it just looks like the most painful thing in the world.
And you could just hear Charlotte go.
Yeah, she was moaning. She got the wind knocked out of her completely.
Yeah, it was rough for sure.
But yeah, no, I liked the match a lot. It made a lot of sense. I called it. I called Asuka winning the match.
Yeah.
But I think this opens up a lot of doors. I think
wild cards.
I think you could definitely still see Becky Lynch versus Ronda at WrestleMania. I think you can definitely see. I can definitely see Charlotte facing Ronda at the Royal Rumble. I could certainly see Charlotte facing Asuka for the women's title at WrestleMania. I mean, I think this definitely keeps open a lot of doors, and I think that it continued the story with Becky and Charlotte and Ronda. And why these women need to still have their story told leading up to WrestleMania.
Yeah, no, this match was fantastic.
Yeah.
It had a little bit of everything and a lot of some things, and some really, really big moments, especially with the Ronda Rousey coming out, tipping the ladder over, Charlotte Flair spearing Asuka through the side barricade. That was really, really cool. And then obviously the announcer table scene. Just, all around really good wrestling, really good storytelling. It wasn't boring at all in any way.
Beginning to end.
Nearly perfect.
The momentum was perfect for all 21 minutes and 45 seconds. Fantastic match.
Yeah, nearly perfect.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Well, I will take over hosting duties momentarily, and I will introduce a segment we call A Brief Debriefing with Tanner.
Well, hi everybody. I'm here to give you a brief debriefing on something here that is near and dear to my heart. I know this. We mostly have been talking about WWE profiles and obviously that's kind of the focus of a lot of our show. But in case there are any fans of a more broad wrestling taste or persuasion, Wrestle Kingdom, New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom show, is just around the corner. Wrestle Kingdom 13 will take place on January the 4th. You may have heard of a guy who we've been name dropping a little bit here throughout the last few episodes, but Kenny Omega.
The man.
Kenny Omega's
I know that one.
Perhaps the top performer in the world right now. He is the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. That's the highest honor that New Japan has. He'll be facing off against a gentleman by the name of Tanahashi. Tanahashi is, if I can paint the picture for you, basically who Tanahashi is in reference to Kenny Omega. This is like a few years back when you had John Cena face The Rock for the first time. Nice. This is two wrestlers of two different generations that are very close together. Kenny Omega from this generation and Hiroshi Tanahashi from last generation. Tanahashi has a lot of similarities to John Cena in a way that they were both over at the same time. They have a very similar kind of character where they both have more of a connection with the crowd. Some people really like him, some people don't. He is a very polarizing kind of figure in that regard because he's supposed to be the super face. But Kenny Omega is more of like this anti-hero kind of gunslingerish kind of guy he's been having the best matches in the world consistently for the past 2 years. I don't think anybody can doubt that. There's a lot of other good ones here. You may have heard of this guy, Chris Jericho. He'll be defending the IWGP Intercontinental Championship against Tetsuya Naito. Naito. They had a really good series of exchanges and press conferences and barbs and promos on each other, going back and forth for months now. Jericho lifted the title off of Naito in kind of an ambush sneak attack. Naito fought valiantly to defend his title back at a show in June called Dominion. Did not hold up the title though. Kazuchika Okada versus Jay White. Kazuchika Okada is the former IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He dropped the title to Kenny Omega also at that Dominion show.
Insane match.
Yeah,
insane match.
So, Kenny Omega versus Okada from Dominion of 2018 was a no time limit 2 out of 3 falls match that went I want to say almost 80 minutes long. Okada being the former champ, he had been holding the title for, I want to say, around 2 years, maybe a little bit more. He'll be facing Jay White. Jay White's an up-and-comer from New Zealand. Nice. Both of these guys are very, very good workers. Okada, like Omega, rarely has a poor match. So this will be something very interesting to see. The IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. This is kind of like somewhat of a cruiserweight division, not really cruiserweights, but definitely more of your lightweight, your next step up. Kushida, one of their most mainstay talents there. There was rumors that Kushida would go to WWE at some point, maybe land in NXT at some point soon. But he's the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. He'll be facing Taiji Ishimori. Ishimori had another a good match a few months back. So these guys definitely do have the talent to make something happen. Further on the undercard, Cody Rhodes. Well, maybe we shouldn't call him Cody Rhodes. He goes by just Cody now. Cody.
Nice.
So Cody.
Nice.
Cody is the IWGP.
This is a card here.
Yeah, it's good. Cody is the IWGP United States Champion. He will defend his title against Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson is another. I want to say he was an NXT alum. So he will be. They'll have a match. It's gonna be.
I want to say one thing too with Cody. I'm glad to see him getting some real work out there. If people don't know his history with WWE, they would not let him out of his Goldust's son or mentee.
Oh, the Stardust gimmick.
Stardust. They would not let him out of that gimmick. And he's so much more than that, and so much greater than that. And I'm glad he, is able to take the reins of his career and his writing. And I think it is the best. That was the best. To see.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely gonna be living up to his father's legacy, or if not passing his father's legacy in terms of overall influence. What Cody has done in the independent scene in the last few years has been nothing short of astonishing.
Nice.
And kind of revolutionizing what somebody can do when they leave WWE. It's not just a paycheck to paycheck kind of thing where you just go and do independent shows. You can actually make yourself into something if you really hope and strive for it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Like I said, this is a really packed card, guys. The Guerrillas of Destiny, who are Tama Tonga and Tangaloa. These guys are yeah, thank you. These guys, little known fact, they are also in the same family that of Roman Reigns and the Usos.
Okay.
Same family.
Nice.
So these guys, definitely some really hardcore Samoan guys who just love nothing more than just to beat the crap out of you.
Sounds good.
They'll be facing Sonata and Evil from the Los Ingobernables de Japón. Sonata and Evil are coming from that faction. also two big Japanese guys who, so they'll be fighting in the match, and also the Young Bucks. So it'll be a 3-way championship match for the tag team titles on that card.
Gotcha.
Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr.
Similar to the Bar.
Yeah.
New Day Uso match.
Yeah.
This will probably be leagues better than that.
Okay.
I will almost get bet on it. Thank you, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ishii for the British Heavyweight Championship from Rev Pro. This is something really cool. I just want to explain real quick. Because something takes place on a New Japan card doesn't mean that that it's just solely New Japan storylines and things taking place. Traditionally, they'll also have things taking place from Ring of Honor or from other promotions.
That's cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah, so there's
That's
other
very cool.
so other promotions get involved in this. So like for this match here, Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr. Tomohiro Ishii is actually a New Japan based talent. He's just like this big Japanese hard man. He's just a killer. Versus Zack Sabre Jr., who is British, significantly smaller, but he's a submission master. So he's like he's like what Daniel Bryan was back when Daniel Bryan was still in Ring of Honor. But they're gonna wrestle for this match here for Rev Pro's top British Heavyweight Championship. So this will definitely be something interesting to see here. Just one of the really cool bits about New Japan shows, giving other promotions love.
Yeah, that is really cool, especially with New Japan being very big. It gives a little bit more eyes on their stuff. That's nice.
Absolutely. Let me see here. What else? All right. I'm just almost done with the card, ladies and gentlemen. Another 3-way tag match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. So you have a heavyweight tag team title match and a light heavyweight tag team title match. So this one here,
that is a stacked card, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Suzuki.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the three teams: Suzuki Gun, Roppongi 3K, and another Los Ingobernables de Japón tag team. So yeah, another 3-way tag team match. This one I'm very excited about. They have Kota Ibushi, who is Kenny Omega's in-storyline best friend. I'm sure these guys have toured all of Japan together. So Kota Ibushi versus Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay gained recognition a few years back. Him and Ricochet had a match where they were doing a lot of flippy stuff, if you will. They definitely had some well-timed and well-choreographed moves through their match. Gained a lot of notoriety and criticism. But both these guys know how to work a match. It's going to be spectacular. And of course, one of the Japanese things that they do, not Japanese things, but one of the traditions they have at New Japan Wrestle Kingdom shows is that they will always open it with a gauntlet match or some kind of battle royal. This one's a gauntlet match to determine the number one contenders to the 6-man tag team championship. So there's actually a 6-man tag team championship.
Wow. Okay.
So there's
nice.
So there's a lot. So
That's nuts.
So there are 11 matches on this, 10 matches on this card. One less match than what was on TLC card. This will probably run about 4 hours long. It'll be super high quality. If you want to watch this, you can view it on New Japan's streaming service. I believe it comes out to roughly about $8.65 a month. So it's actually less expensive than WWE Network. You do get a whole library of content with them. It will be on January 4th once again. They will also replay it on tape delay on Access TV. So if you have Access TV,
nice.
Contact your cable subscriber. Make sure you have that so that you can view the tape delay replay of Wrestle Kingdom 13. If not, you can always watch it on New Japan World. This is their version of WrestleMania. The day after is called the New Year Dash, where they re-up for all the storylines for the next coming year and the next Wrestle Kingdom. So this is the culmination of something really cool and really special. I hope that everybody who is a fan of wrestling tunes in to see this show, because it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I don't necessarily watch a lot of New Japan on my own, but some of the matches that you've shown me, especially with Kenny Omega and Okada. They're just insanely talented individual.
Kenny Omega.
Classic matches.
Kenny Omega is, if Kenny Omega ever comes to WWE, I'm going to lose it.
Lose it.
Yeah.
And that has been a brief debriefing with Tanner.
Oh, yeah.
Sound effects all our own.
Yeah.
We do that too. Hoodoos and oh yes. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We're gonna close this off here with a little bit of a round table, guys. I know that man, it's been a trying time for Raw recently, and
indeed.
so I think it's no secret that the last few weeks they had some of their lowest ratings in years. The last few weeks.
Yeah, I read an article. It's the lowest ratings they've had in 25 years, 6 weeks in a row.
Wow.
Yep.
That's pretty terrible.
I didn't know it was that intense.
Yeah.
Now, this was pre-TLC that this was happening. We now know Vince McMahon was going to come out on Raw the next night after TLC, and he made it a point that he wanted to shake things up. So he comes out, opening segment of Raw, says, he understands, that him and all the McMahons, you had Stephanie come out, you had Triple H come out, you had Shane come out. They understand. They want to hear from the fans. They want to listen. They want to take into consideration what's going on in the WWE universe. They want to give us new faces, new matchups, these kind of things here. So they said they want to shake things up and they want to do it differently. I mean, me personally, from what they were showing here, just by advertising, they did a lot of work. They hyped up the return of Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt, and Sami Zayn. They hyped up the calling up of some pretty decent talent.
Where was that posted?
Let me see
Did
here.
you email it to me?
Yeah, I sent it to you. Basically, we all know that Lars Sullivan was going to come up. But also from NXT, they're going to call up EC3. They're going to call up Nikki Cross. Yep, that's it. They're going to call up Lacey Evans. I'm not too familiar with Lacey Evans. She's been around the roster for a little bit now. But it'd be interesting to see her work. And then a tag team called Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery is there's some just nasty dudes who just want to beat up people. So,
sounds right up Vince's alley.
Yeah.
So my take is Vince finally went to an NXT event. Boom, boom.
I mean, it's possible.
It's very possible.
See, I think that
Semi-joking, tongue-in-cheek, but I just think yes, Vince is very adept. You don't have a business for 30 plus years. Doing stadiums and working with major broadcasting channels and networks by not listening to your fans and taking their opinions into consideration. But I just think, hey, look at what is drawing that decision alone.
Yeah.
The anticipation of more decisions to come. So that's my take.
And I've seen a little bit of negative feedback as well. A lot of people are saying, the show is kind of more of the same, or I feel like nothing's really changed. I get that, but at the same time, Rome was not built in a day. We need to take this in. And I'm not being a Vince McMahon apologist. I truly. Vince McMahon is a large reason as to why I love Stone Cold Steve Austin so much. Right? That's a big part of why I love wrestling so much. So, yes, I'm maybe looking at the glass half full on this here, but I really don't think it was necessarily as bad as what other people were making it out to be. We have to be patient with this and let themselves try and get themselves out of the mud first before we can start to appreciate what they're going to try and do about making Raw great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was saying this is a step forward.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like you're saying, Rome's not built in a day. You can't expect Vince to come out and be like, hey, we're going to change some stuff, and that show is going to be the most amazing Raw ever.
I'm going to whip out the Men in Black pin, and I'm going to make sure that all of y'all forget about all the crappy storylines. No,
Right.
you have to find a way to get out of that and then move on to something else that you can appreciate.
We're still in that rut right now where we're waiting for it to get better.
I mean, they're getting out of it.
They are. They 100% are. And one thing I wanted to say is, a lot of people were complaining about Vince being very vague about the things that he was saying. We're going to do this. We're going to bring in new this and new this. And they weren't being very specific about anything. But honestly, for an announcement like this, I don't think you need to be specific. Like you were saying earlier, Vince is a businessman. He's not going to show all his cards all at once and everything like that. Right. And I don't think he needs to. I think the point that they were trying to make, they definitely made. Yeah. They didn't need to give anyone any specific example or anything, but I think that it's definitely a really, really great start and really great step in the right direction. Right. Because for so long it's just been, Raw sucks. We don't really know what to do. Everyone kind of assumed it was Corbin.
Right. Well, and I think people feel, and I hope that not only do the viewers, us as fans, feel this, but I hope that the talent feels it as well. Because if you look at social media while watching Raw, you saw guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Bray Wyatt, guys who, I mean, I'll be honest, I forgot. Yeah. I forgot about them. Mm-hmm. But, they were responding and being like, you know what, I really was great. I can't wait to come back and participate again on the show. Mm-hmm. And that's what you want to hear. Right. From the talent perspective.
Yeah, and just having Vince come out and to a certain extent say anything is nice. Right.
So, I am looking here at some of the postings apparently. So Lars Sullivan in a work shoot rips WWE for calling up 6 instead of his 1, which obviously the plan was clearly seemed to be going forward before these ratings bombs. And says everyone can kiss his wheres. So this is interesting.
Yeah.
Again, if it's a shoot, this is a type of ish that gets you fired. So Lars Sullivan, if this is a shoot, relax.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me shoot on Lars Sullivan, because you weren't even the best talent that was in NXT that was going to be called up for anyway.
So we wanted Velveteen Dream.
Well, and that's another good point. The Velveteen Dream during Raw
was put in his work.
Was lobbying himself online on Twitter for people to say, "Hey, bring me up."
And it's probably down there because of his work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Lars Sullivan. Yeah. Your little cameos is nice, but you're not that good.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, look, you 100%. I get you were in a pretty awesome ladder match.
If it was a shoot, mind you.
If it is a shoot.
Nowadays, it could be a work. He deleted it immediately.
It could be a work, but my shoot is real. I really feel this way about Lars Sullivan. Yes. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get the man.
I don't.
Yeah. But we'll see. I mean, I'm willing to give him a chance. I'm willing to give Velveteen Dream a chance. A lot of people were really upset online saying like, "Oh, well, why aren't you calling up like bigger name talent from NXT like Ricochet or Johnny Gargano or Aleister Black or Tommaso Ciampa?" Well, you got to still have a reason for people to come up and watch NXT. Yeah. What I would like to see is if, say, 1 week you just want to have Ricochet come on and give a cameo appearance and then remind people, hey, by the way, you should sign up for WWE Network and check out NXT, because that's where you'll find Ricochet.
Every week.
Every Wednesday, 7 o'clock. I'm watching it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do something like that. Bring up the Undisputed Era for a quick angle for a month or 3, and have them do a segment, and keep them on NXT if you want to.
I want to see. I don't even want. He doesn't even need to say anything.
I just want Tommaso Ciampa to just like be on the jumbotron, walking in the back room or the locker room of like a Raw or a SmackDown or something. Yeah. And just have the announcers say, "Oh my God, what is he doing here?" Blah blah blah. That's it. Yeah. Just a little bit of what's the word I'm looking for?
A little taste.
Yeah, just a little taste.
A little preview, a little sample.
Exactly.
I'm inclined to see this a bit as a shoot because...
With Lars Sullivan?
Yeah, apparently it looks like Vince got to him because he deleted him and deleted his accounts just like Velveteen Dream did.
Yeah, Velveteen Dream deleted his tweets as well.
So yeah, there's
or maybe you could see that as Vince got to Velveteen and was like, yeah, we might actually do this. So maybe you might want to,
Yeah, maybe not call me out like that.
Delete these here. You're gonna get called up, but just go ahead and delete these here.
Right.
And but he probably, if he did that to Velveteen for one reason, then maybe he told that to Lars Sullivan for a reason of, hey, I'm already calling you up. Don't spoil this.
Yeah. Don't screw it up.
The thing is, I don't know. I mean, I know it derails it a little bit, but I'm not feeling the snarkiness of these guys.
I mean, look, Lars Sullivan's a very talented big man. Velveteen Dream's obviously super duper talented in all sorts of ways. Yeah. They will get a time to shine. But I mean, Vince. I'm just gonna take him for his word. I think Vince has a plan. I'm not a Vince McMahon apologist. I know he's been the guy who's been writing the show all these years. He's as big of a part of a problem as anything. Yeah. As to why Raw started failing for a while. I hope that with this partnership here, I don't even want to call it a partnership, but if you have Triple H coming out and you have Shane and you have Stephanie and Vince and they're all supposed to be working together, I hope there's some real work together going on here behind the scenes where Triple H, if he's going to be bringing guys to Vince, he can at least pull him aside and say, hey, listen, this is what this guy's all about. Let him in on the gimmick. Let Vince know this is exactly what I've been doing with him. Maybe give him some matches to watch or some segments or some promos. Give him something so that Vince is familiar with him so we don't have the same thing that happened to Bobby Roode and to Shinsuke where you bring these guys up and Vince doesn't know what to do with them.
Right.
So
I think this is a good step forward though.
I think it's a great step forward.
I think it's
absolutely
wrestling with its cycles and with its turns, and WrestleMania, Royal Rumble around the corner.
We're gonna get into the Royal Rumble. Next podcast, I will give some coverage on Wrestle Kingdom 13 because that's gonna be right around the corner. We're gonna take a little bit of a break because of the holiday season, Christmas, is just right around the corner. So happy holidays to all of our listeners. Yes. We will be back soon to give you more coverage and get onto the road to WrestleMania.
Absolutely,
gentlemen. Is there anything else that y'all want to share?
No, thank you for listening to Headlock Talk. You guys have a safe holidays.
Thank you for listening, guys.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all take care. Be good out there. We'll see you again on the other side.